You are a garbage individual. You have no soul.
Thanks, Candiace.
The fact that you will sit up here and act as if you are the victim.
Hey, y'all. I know this is not my normal intro, but I struggled with how I should open up this recap. I was this close to saying, you guys, I'm done. But I knew that I couldn't leave you guys hanging because we've come this far. So I said, let me finish it off. I want to start off by simply saying that this has to be one of the worst seasons of any franchise that I've ever seen. The fact that this cast is not a true friend group and that we have women at their big ages lying and concocting up stories to damage people's reputations and their character and their livelihoods. And they're okay with that as long as it means that they might have a storyline for the season is disgusting and it's pathetic. I'm gonna give you guys a quick disclaimer right now. I'm sticking with Candiace and Dillard-Bassett till the wheels fall off. And I don't care how anybody feels about it. I didn't feel any type of way when Candiace said what she said to Gizelle. So if anybody feels like arguing with me in the comment section when we get to that part where Candiace tore Gizelle up, be my guest, feel free, I'm ready. I got time today. But what we're not going to do is act like we don't understand what Candiace was saying. I have never seen a cast be so committed to being so wrong. And Miss Wendy, while I've been here for you all season long, you dropped the ball during this reunion. And you guys already know what part I'm talking about. And was it just me, or did this feel like the longest 90-minute episode that I have ever seen? I was like, oh my gosh, when is this gonna be over? I was so tired. Like, can we just wrap this up already? I don't wanna see these ladies on my screen anymore. I mean, I'm so done. But y'all, let's just get right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up the third part with Mia and Jacqueline still going at it. I'm gonna let you guys know something right now. I didn't care too much for this segment. I don't care that much about Mia or Jacqueline's beef. I don't. So Jacqueline pulls out her receipts. Then you have Mia talking about, oh, you want to do this? Well, I got my receipts too. I have Pandora's box. And Mia, the gag is you didn't have one receipt in that box. You had a box filled up with blank pieces of paper. It was embarrassing. So Jacqueline pulls out her first receipt saying Mia was telling everybody that she spent Mother's Day with my mom. That's a lie. So Mia confirms that she was on the phone with Jacqueline's mom for an hour. So now Jacqueline brings up the married men rumors and she says, the audacity of Mia to say that I'm with married men when Gordon was calling my phone up the other day asking where Mia was because you were in Atlanta for a wedding or something and Gordon had no idea where you were. So Mia clarifies that she was in Atlanta and Gordon was upset because he thought that she was with her ex-boyfriend. So she says, I wasn't with him. I was going to have brunch with his mother. And he questions Jacqueline on her relationship with Gordon. He's like, look, have you ever had sex with Gordon? Jacqueline says no. Then you have Gizelle and Robyn trying to question Jacqueline. I think Robyn said, well, you guys did play coy about the whole situation. And I said, girl, please shut the entire hell up. The same woman who hid what was going on in her real life, Juan was out here paying for another woman's hotel room, but you kept that hidden, but yet you want to call somebody else out about being coy. Girl, stop. You have no room to talk. And then Gizelle chiming in saying, I mean, Jacqueline, we asked you and you didn't really say anything and you're a grown woman, so it's a yes or no question. I was like, again, the gall. Two women who bring us nothing but fake storylines or no storylines, but yet they want to grill somebody else. Then the whole topic about Mia and Jacqueline, have they ever had sex? They both say no. They've just been good friends. They're like sisters. So here's where Mia shows how much of a weirdo she really is, because Andy reads a viewer question asking Mia, why would she feel the need to put her friend on blast about Jacqueline allegedly sleeping with married men? And if that were the case, why wouldn't Mia want to talk to her friend about that in private? So Mia says that Jacqueline's the only one who knew about Gordon being a prostate cancer survivor and the fact that she used that information against Mia by coming after Gordon's penis and how he can't perform. Now, let me just stop for a minute, because Mia, what kind of idiot are you? Why would you share that? That's not your business to tell. I'm sure that Gordon is pissed now that the whole world, including all of his peers, know that he can't get it up. Do you know how embarrassed he must feel? That's very emasculating. Why would you do that? And it's really funny to me, Mia, because last season, if I'm not mistaken, you kept going on about, even though Gordon is 38 years older than you, he could still get it up. You guys still have a great sex life. And now all of a sudden it's, well, he can't perform. I won't be surprised if Gordon wants to divorce her after this, because there's no coming back from that. And the way these women are so desperate to stay on this show and get on this show is pathetic. Because when we found out that Mia and Gordon never gave Jacqueline any money, especially not for her Porsche, I said, oh, well, that's interesting, because you guys alluded to helping her out financially, and then you have Jacqueline acknowledging that Mia forced her to lie about them giving her money so that Mia could have a storyline, and to also push that narrative that she was beneath Mia. Now, Jacqueline, there is no way in the world that Mia could have forced me to lie about that. I'll be damned if I have somebody saying, oh yeah, tell them that me and my husband helped you out financially. Absolutely not. And Mia is so pathetic, because if you know that you never helped your friend financially, then why would you even lie and act like you did? But we close out their segment with Andy asking them if there's any hope of them reconciling as friends, because he thinks that it's sad that they're no longer friends. Again, I didn't care that much about Jacqueline and Mia and their friendship, so this segment to me was just okay, and I was glad when it was over. But let me just say this quickly. The fact that they allowed Jacqueline to get that much screen time as a friend of, I won't be surprised if she is back in some capacity for season 8. Wendy had me screaming, though, when she told Jacqueline, girl, forward me those receipts that you have. Now, at this point, Charrisse comes out, and Charrisse, this was the best that you've looked all season, and I still didn't love this look. But I'll take that over the t-shirts and the joggers that she wore all season long. But we have Andy greeting Charrisse. He's like, how have you been? Did you get a good divorce settlement? She says that it was pretty good. It was 50-50. Now, I was a bit confused, because when Andy read the viewer question asking Charrisse and Robyn, why are they so close? Is it because Charrisse has Robyn's back the same way that Robyn has Charrisse's back? And Robyn said, oh, it's not about that. It's the fact that we've known each other since 2002, and Charrisse is just a great friend. Charrisse loves everybody in this group except for Karen and Wendy. Now, I want to understand this. Why doesn't Charrisse like Wendy? Is it because the Green-Eyed Bandits don't like Wendy, and she's so much of a follower that because they don't like her, now she wants to be nasty to Wendy? I don't get it. At your big age, you want to ice somebody out that you don't even know that well. It's real loser behavior. Because I just am so confused as to why Charrisse has an issue with Wendy when they've never even interacted. I'm just confused as to how these women can hate Wendy so much when they're the ones who started all the drama with her last season. Robyn, had you and Gizelle never come for her marriage or her body being done, she wouldn't have had to read you. But because you guys are still upset about that, now you just want to hate her? It makes no sense. You guys were in the wrong about that. You had no right to talk about Eddie and those stupid rumors about him allegedly having an affair and some side baby. And then Robyn, you told her, you're dressing like a loose woman. Why did you get your body done? Are you insecure? Y'all did all that to her. Then when she read y'all down, now you still want to hold a grudge? It makes no sense. Now, when we got to the Karen versus Charrisse segment, I was annoyed because I didn't care that much. This whole beef between them is stupid. It doesn't make much sense. And it's boring. And I felt like Andy spent way too much time on a beef that we don't care about. And one thing I've noticed about Karen throughout the years is that Karen low-key lies too. And she does it in a craftier way. But Karen is also another person who's good at sidestepping the question, not really answering Andy, giving you a whole bunch of fluff, and not telling you how she really feels about something. And that's annoying, because the same way that we press all the other women to be honest, I need Karen to be honest as well. Because when Andy read that viewer question asking her, Karen, what's the real reason why you don't like Charrisse? Why can't you at least go to lunch with her and just hear her out? And Karen said, well, the viewers all saw why. And also, it's my journey of grief and loss. And even if you don't understand my reasoning, I ask that you respect it. And I said, but Karen, you didn't answer the question. And before anybody hops in the comments saying, well, Karen has a right to not like Charrisse, you're right. But I'd have more respect for Karen if she would just come out and say, I don't like her. I'd respect that more than these BS answers that Karen keeps giving. And I hate how Karen likes to conflate two separate issues, because when Andy pressed her on it and he said, yeah, Karen, I'm confused too. Because if somebody that I didn't like came out to support me because I lost somebody close to me, I would be like, you know what? Let me hear them out. That was very nice of them to do that. And then when Karen said, I understand that, Andy, but I don't want to talk about my mom's funeral anymore, I respectfully decline to talk about this. And I said, but Karen, nobody is bringing up your mom's funeral. The question is, why don't you like Charrisse? That was the question. And the fact that she completely sidestepped the original question, I was so irritated. And also, the same way I got on Gizelle last week about her saying, well, we'll talk about that later. I'm sorry, Karen, but you're on a reality TV show where you have to talk about things. You can't expect to get paid 6 and 7 figures and then turn around and say, well, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Well, don't ask me that. That's not how this works. If you want the money and the fame, then you have to deal with what comes with that. And once again, for the folks in the back, I'm not saying that Karen has to be friends with Charrisse. All I'm saying is that, at the very least, give us the reason why you don't like her. So now Charrisse jumps in and says that her and Karen have different math skills because at the time of her mom's funeral, her and Karen were actually cool and they were on speaking terms. So you have Karen trying to be funny. She pulls out her nail file trying to ignore Charrisse. And now Andy interjects and he says, let me clear something up for everybody out there. We actually wanted Charrisse back on this show. We called her. She was not calling us. Now, I was surprised to hear that because in the Not All Diamonds and Rosé book, Charrisse even confirmed herself that Bravo had let her go. They thought that her storyline wasn't strong enough, especially since Eddie had put that gag order on her about not discussing the divorce. So to hear that Bravo actually did want her back, I was like, oh, okay. And also, Charrisse was never that interesting. So I was very surprised to hear that Andy wanted her back. But anyhow, I digress. Now, Karen, I have to say, you did make yourself look bad because Charrisse had the proof. She was like, and you keep saying that we haven't talked in 5 years. Well, that's a lie. Because if you hated me all this time, then why did you invite me to your La Dame fragrance event at Bloomingdale's in 2019? So all Karen says is, no, that was in 2018. And they're like, okay, but the point remains that within these 5 years, you guys were in contact. And then you have Robyn bringing up the fact that Charrisse was invited to Karen's 55th birthday party in 2018 as well. So Charrisse says, once again, if you hated me so badly, then why would you invite me to your birthday party? So Karen says, well, no, I didn't invite you to my party. Matt did. So I just said, Karen, you're the birthday girl. You have the final say on who is going to attend your dinner. There is no way in hell that I'm inviting somebody that I cannot stand to my birthday dinner, much less having my assistant invite my enemy to my birthday dinner. Girl, just say that you were caught in a lie and it is what it is. But Karen looked crazy doubling down on it, saying, no, Matt invited you. He's the one who invited you. That's why you were there. Girl, again, that makes no sense. Because even if Matt did say, oh, Karen, can Charrisse come? If you hated her so much, you would have said no. I know I would have. There's no way that somebody that I can't stand would be at my birthday. Again, Karen, the math ain't mathin', and I want you to stop lying. And you know it's bad when you have me out here agreeing with Robyn for once. Because Robyn even said, if you hated somebody for all this time, they wouldn't be at your birthday dinner. So now we see Karen and Charrisse going at it. Karen addresses Charrisse Charrisse, spreading those rumors about her when Charrisse said that Karen was having sex with a worker at one of the clubs. And Karen says, girl, I've heard so many rumors about you, but I never said anything because you have children and I respect that. Now, do I believe the rumors that were coming out of Charrisse's mouth saying that Karen had sex with somebody who worked at one of the clubs? No. I think that Charrisse pulled that out of her ass because she wanted some camera time and some attention. But I don't believe it at all, especially when there are no receipts. Now Andy brings up Mia's tea about how Karen was allegedly dating some restaurant owner. And Mia's like, oh, we're talking about that now? I don't want to say anything because that's family. I said, girl, you just lie so damn much. So Karen's irritated. She's like, Mia, you just can't say anything now. Like, that's the line, you know it. Then she says, Andy, can you please call them up because I want to sue them? Andy was like, girl, I'm not in this. And then you have Karen saying, Mia, you have got to stop with the lies. You lied on Wendy about sleeping with somebody. Now you're lying on me. Just stop. I don't know what point Robyn was trying to make when she said, we get our tea from actual people, not the blogs. And then when she said, Karen, I get so many calls about you. And then Karen said, girl, I get so many calls about you. And by the way, ain't nobody calling you up. Now, Robyn's segment was interesting for a variety of reasons. I think it's hilarious that Robyn shows us each and every time that she's not too bright. And why do I say that? Because when Andy asked Robyn about the prenup, we find out that the prenup is 50-50 and she did not put the infidelity clause in it. I said, Robyn, you have to be the world's biggest dummy. You know that Juan has a hard time remaining faithful, so why wouldn't you want to protect yourself and your assets by making sure that there is an infidelity clause? And then when she tried to make that joke talking about, well, you know, I don't want to set myself up for failure because what if I cheat? The way you've been holding on to this man for 2 decades, you're not going anywhere. And the way Andy was looking at her like, oh, girl.
No.
Andy briefly touches on Karen's claims that Juan has a girlfriend that looks just like her. So Karen says, look, I've never seen the woman. I just heard that she was blonde, but I got this tea from the blogs like everybody else. So now Robyn tries to check Karen and she's like, Karen, I'm surprised at you because remember how mad you got at Candiace when Candiace spread the rumors about you seeing other men? So why would you say that about Juan? So Karen owns up to it and she's like, you know what, Robyn, you're right. I regret doing that. And now you have Andy asking Robyn, how did Juan feel when he heard that? So Robyn's like, well, Juan doesn't like the show at all. He doesn't watch. He thinks that it's all a bunch of drama and mess. And he's like, I don't bother anybody, so leave me out of it. Now, Robyn, you didn't have to tell us that he doesn't like the show. It's clear by Juan's actions that he hates the show. He never attends the reunions. He barely films any scenes with you. So, I mean, we could put 2 and 2 together and realize that he doesn't like the show. Now, they switch gears in the conversation, and Andy brings up how Robyn pretty much got ripped a new asshole by the viewers about that family flop day that she had. So he reads a viewer question asking Robyn, how much did you spend on that family fun day? Because it seems like you spent about $15. It was a very sad event.
You know what? It's too much.
You have Robyn over there looking so dumb, and she's like, I mean, it was a last-minute event. I said, girl, I don't care if it was last minute or not. That event was sorry. You had 2 jump ropes, 5 potato sacks, and you said, okay, guys, that's the family fun day. You should have had a whole table of catered food, a bounce house for the kids, a tent, some chairs. Like, you could have made it so nice. But you want to cheap out and you gave us that. An embarrassment. The other franchises would never. Now Andy reads another viewer question, and when I tell you that all of us viewers were fed up this season. So the question reads, Robyn, why would you think that it was a good idea to have Candiace bring Wendy's kids to your event, but still excluding Wendy? So you have Robyn stuttering, and now Wendy jumps in and Wendy cleared her. Wendy said, look, why would you do that when you know good and damn well that Candiace has never had any one-on-one time with my kids. Like, who does that? So you have Robyn saying that if the tables were turned, she would still bring her kids. And Wendy said, girl, you're a damn lie. No, you wouldn't. The way that Robyn hates Wendy now, could you imagine if Wendy had the family fun day and said, okay, Candiace, why don't you bring Carter and Corey, Robyn's two boys, to Wendy's event? But Robyn's not invited. Robyn would be there cursing somebody out if Wendy did that to her and her boys. So for her to even sit up there and lie and say, well, I wouldn't care, I'd still bring my boys anyway, like, no, you wouldn't. And Wendy's kids didn't miss a damn thing by skipping that sorry event in the first place. Now, I was waiting this entire reunion for Andy to address the lawsuit that's going on with Juan at Coppin State. And so Robyn says, look, I can't say much about it because it is a lawsuit, but what I will say is that what's being alleged about Juan isn't true, and that Juan handled the situation the way I'd want somebody to handle it if this were one of my boys. Then she goes on to add that she's not discrediting or disputing the allegations between the two guys involved, but what she is saying is that what's being said about Juan isn't true. Then she says that it's a shame that Juan's being used as clickbait. And I said, girl, he's not being used as clickbait. Juan is the head coach. So of course his name would be mentioned. Now the husbands come out and hands down, this was the best segment of the night. Now when Andy greeted Eddie, did anybody peep Ashley and Gizelle's facial expressions? And Ashley looked really stupid when Andy brought up the allegations from her stupid friend Sesame Street. And Eddie said, look, I smile at everybody, it's cool, it takes a lot to get under my skin. And then when he said, and by the way, Andy, I'm not flirting with you. Wendy and Eddie are such a cute couple. I love Eddie's energy. Really nice guy. And I love the fact that they paid Ashley's friend dust, because that's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. You think that he wants you because he was smiling, and Eddie wasn't even looking your way. And this might sound real petty and I don't care, but I got a real kick out of the fact that Wendy was the only one on that side with her husband behind her. I said, I understand why they didn't want Robyn on that side, because had it been Gizelle, Ashley, and Robyn, they would have been the side with no men. And a quick side note, did Gizelle ever apologize to Eddie for those rumors that she spread about him last season? Because if I recall, I don't remember ever hearing her say, I'm sorry. So now Andy starts talking to Gordon about Mia's health issues. He's like, how did that affect you? So now Gordon gets emotional. He says that it was really hard. He says that some weeks they were at the doctor's office like 3 or 4 times, and it was really challenging. Now, I think that Gordon and Mia are full of it. I don't believe for 1 minute that Mia had any cancer scare. I think that this was all done so that Mia could have a storyline. But Gordon keeps up with the theatrics. He starts crying, saying that at one point he envisioned his kids being without their mother, and it really tore him up. And then, of course, Andy wouldn't be Andy if he didn't ask the shady questions. He's like, Gordon, have you ever had a sexual relationship with Jacqueline? Gordon says no. I look at her as like a little sister. And now Andy wants to know if Gordon has ever slept with any of Mia's friends. So Gordon says, no, I haven't. And then Andy brings up Peter's girlfriend. Then Gordon says that they touched each other and that was it, and that there was no penetration. He makes it clear that he's never had any penetration with any of Mia's friends. And I started laughing. I was like, okay, Gordon. Who knows what to believe? When it comes to those two, I think that they're just both liars. The part that we have all been waiting for, Andy gives Dillard-Bassett the floor to speak his piece to Gizelle Bryant. And Gizelle looked so nervous here because the way she wanted to interrupt him, and Chris said, oh no, sis, you had 10 months to say whatever you want about me. You did all your interviews. It's my turn. And I said, Chris, please get her. So Chris makes it clear that when he first heard Gizelle's claims, he was shocked. He couldn't believe what she was saying. And he says, I was like, at first, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. When you said that I asked you about going to your dressing room, fine. But all in all, you're a grown-ass woman with a mouth that you use very well, and the minute that you opened that door and saw that your glam team wasn't there, you could have closed it and said, Chris, let's talk right here or talk some other time. Then Chris continues on and says that he was really pissed to watch that episode where Gizelle was over at Karen's house and she said to Karen that Chris needs to apologize for what he did. And I want to know right now, what did I do to you? So here goes Gizelle, and when I tell you that Gizelle made absolutely no sense, you know when somebody is reaching. I said, girl, you won't let go of this lie. The fact that you're trying to double down is shameful. So here goes Gizelle lying, and she says, Chris, that evening you asked me if I could do you a favor, and you asked me, can we talk? I said, sure, absolutely. You asked me if we could go to my room, and then I see that you told Candiace that I asked you. I loved when Chris stopped her and he said, Gizelle, that's not how I remember it, but we can agree to disagree right here, because if I remember correctly, you asked me to go to your room. But again, I'm not going to argue with you about that. If that's how you remember it, then that's how you remember it. So at this point, Chris Bassett is getting more and more irritated, and he says, I'm not discounting how you feel, but you have yet to tell me what I did to you. So you have Gizelle saying, well, I'm getting there. So Chris is like, chop, chop, like, let's get to it, because I've suffered through this for 10 whole months. I've lost clients. I had to explain this to my children. I had to explain myself to my family. So let's get to it. So at this point, he starts cursing at Gizelle, and then you have Gizelle saying, well, Chris, I don't want to keep talking if you're going to curse at me because I haven't cursed at you.
You still have not told me what I did.
I'm getting there.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
Spit it out.
So we're not going to talk if you're going to just be cussing at me, because that's not cool at all.
What did I do?
I saw some people on Twitter talking about, well, Chris kind of went overboard and he shouldn't have snapped at her that way. And I feel like Chris and Candiace made this a bigger deal. We're not going to play these games today. I'm not doing it. Gizelle could have ruined Chris Bassett's life. The fact that this man lost money, he lost clients, his own family was questioning him. He had to explain this to his children. There is nothing funny or cute about this. If somebody tried to ruin you or your spouse's life like that, you'd be cursing them out too, and you know it.
No, thank you. No. And you're gonna always get it again and again and again.
And I'm sorry if I'm yelling, but I was so pissed because Gizelle knows what she's doing. And she thinks that trying to ruin somebody's life is funny. It's sick. And it's so weird because all the disgusting things that Michael Darby has done, and you have yet to go after him, but you're going after somebody who was innocent, there's something wrong. So Candiace jumps in and says, Gizelle, don't even start. What's not cool is you being a gutter snipe, lying ass bitch, lying on my family. So now Gizelle says, well, I haven't lied about anything. And now you have Andy jumping in and he says, but Gizelle, can you please tell everybody, what did Chris do to you? So you have Gizelle grasping at straws, saying that when they were in the dressing room, Chris obviously had a lot to drink and she felt uncomfortable. Now, here's what blows me, because when this season first started and Gizelle gave her recollection of events, I don't remember her saying anything about Chris having too much to drink. So for her to now add that piece of information in there now, I said, oh girl, I mean, you are reaching. You are really trying to make this man look bad by any means. Gizelle continues on by saying that Chris put them both in that situation, and here's where I lost it. I swear to y'all, I turned the TV off. I was done. Gizelle, when you opened that door and you saw that your glam team had left, you could have closed that door and talked in the hallway. Nobody forced you to continue talking in the empty dressing room. You have a mouth, open it. You speak up any other time, now all of a sudden, well, I didn't say anything, but I felt uncomfortable. You can't do that. You are 53, 54. You know what your boundaries are. Chris said multiple times that at any point you could have said, okay, Chris, let's just talk outside. But you didn't do that. And now the audacity of you to say that Chris Bassett put y'all both in this situation. Chris did not do anything wrong. And for you to use these buzzwords, you know exactly what you're doing. So at this point, Chris Bassett is pissed. He gets up and gives a demonstration, and he's like, I was standing so far away from you in the dressing room, I made sure to stand with the door open because I didn't want anybody to think anything either. So now Gizelle's talking about, Chris, I'm sorry, but that's a lie. That's a lie. So Chris is like, Gizelle, no, I'm not lying. The door had the lock open. So Gizelle keeps saying, I'm sorry, Chris, but that's just not true. So at this point, Chris is so annoyed, and he's like, well, if you thought that Candiace should know this, then why did you wait 5 months later to tell her? So now Gizelle says that she thought that Candiace should know after Ashley told her about Chris DMing her. And Chris, the way I am so irritated with you, forever trying to be nice to Ashley of all people. And then when you clarified that, no, I didn't DM you, Ashley, I was replying to your story, which is a complete difference. And then you have Ashley saying, well, it was the nature of the DM. I said, you just can't help yourself. You know that it was not a DM, Ashley. And also, he works at the W. And he was trying to be nice by inviting you to go to his job so that you and your friends could have a good time. The fact that you sat up there and really thought in your pea brain that Chris wanted you and he was trying to slide through is pathetic. And one thing about it, Gizelle is always going to play dumb when she's called out. Because Chris Bassett even said, for years, you've made so many jokes and comments about my brown penis, but I never said anything about it, did I? And then Gizelle sitting there, squinting her eyes, talking about, I'm confused. Who should we say did it then? And it's like, girl, you need help. Now, I was happy when Candiace brought up the fact that Gizelle was calling Chris a sneaky link, and then Gizelle's talking about, you know what, when I saw that back, I was like, yeah, that wasn't right of me to say. So Chris, I want to apologize to you for that. So now Chris brings up the drama that happened at Candiace's video premiere, and he says, that's why I got so mad at you, Ashley, because I didn't want there to be any drama. I wanted the night to be all about Candiace. And then he brings up how he DM'd Gizelle, giving her an apology if she felt uncomfortable. But he goes on to say that he didn't want to apologize because apologizing means that he did something wrong and he didn't do anything. So now Candiace clarifies and says there's a difference between it being a wrong situation and him being wrong. So now Gizelle keeps saying, well, I'm entitled to how I feel, and if I felt uncomfortable, it is what it is. I told you in the beginning of this recap that I am on Candiace and Chris's side until the wheels fall off. And when Candiace ripped Gizelle a new asshole, and excuse my French, but when she read Gizelle for filth like this, I said, come through. I was here for it. Candiace said, you're a garbage individual. You have no soul. The fact that you can sit on this couch and lie like this, knowing that so many women who actually deal with sexual misconduct are too afraid to come forward? How dare you? And the icing on the cake for me was when Candiace said,
because you sit up here with your privileged, white-looking ass, and you think you can say whatever the you want to say, and no one is going to bat an eyelash.
And I don't care how anybody feels about it. Candiace told no lies, because there is privilege if you are a lighter skinned or biracial individual, and we're not going to sit up here and deny that. Because can you imagine if Candiace had made these sort of allegations about one of the other husbands? They would have brushed her off. A lot of viewers probably would have brushed her off as well. And when Candiace pointed that out as well, that me as a darker skinned individual, if I were to make these claims, I wouldn't be taken as seriously as somebody who looks like Gizelle or Ashley. And she is correct. I saw so many people upset on Twitter about what Candiace said, and once again, she told no lies. Was her delivery harsh? Well, that's up to you. I didn't think it was harsh at all. And before anybody really gets upset, there's a video surfacing on Twitter of the season 1 reunion where Ashley called out Robyn and Gizelle about their European features and how they don't really embrace their naturalness or their blackness. And she makes a comment to Robyn saying, I mean, you're sitting up here dyeing your hair blonde. So when Ashley jumped in this conversation and said, Candiace, really? We just had this conversation about colorism. Why would you say that? You go too far. Oh, really? But it was okay when you pointed out Gizelle and Robyn's European features and how they don't embrace their blackness. But now when Candiace points out the privilege and how colorism affects people, now that's a problem. We're not going to do this today. I am sick and tired of you guys trying to discredit Candiace every time she makes a valid point. And it was really insulting for Ashley to keep saying, I mean, we just had that colorism discussion. That was not a colorism discussion, and you know it. You guys spoke about it for a minute. Gizelle was sitting up there trying to wave it off. Robyn was quiet. Karen said 2 words. And for Ashley, Gizelle, and Mia to act like it was a reverse colorism situation, stop. We already know the definition of colorism. The same way that black people don't have the power to be racist, darker-skinned people don't have that power to be colorist. Wendy, I love you, but you dropped the ball.
You're my girl. I got your back forever. You has stated something about her white skin. Mm-hmm. But I just want you to consider, on the heels of that conversation, just what that may imply.
It would have been a lot more meaningful had Wendy jumped to Candiace's aid and said, you know what, Andy? Candiace is correct. There is privilege when someone of Gizelle's complexion makes these kinds of allegations versus someone of mine or Candiace's complexion says the same things. And then you have Ashley trying to be all smug, talking about, well, I didn't think that what you said was appropriate. And I said, Ashley, shut up. You are the last person to discuss anybody being appropriate. Out here married to a whole predator. This man was on camera grabbing people's butts without their consent. Don't you ever open your mouth to discuss what's appropriate and what's not. Ashley and Michael should have been fired off of this show in season 4 when it was revealed that he had groped the cameraman. But Andy closes out this explosive segment and he's like, Chris, is there anything more that you want to say? And Chris says, no, I'm good. Gizelle apologized. I can move on. Candiace makes it clear that she has no intentions of moving on with Gizelle. Now, Chris, I was irritated with you because it wasn't like Gizelle apologized to you for the lies. She only apologized for calling you a sneaky link. I want Chris Bassett to stop folding so easily. I would have said, I don't forgive Gizelle for anything. I'm done. I don't want to talk to her. Nothing. What are you forgiving her for? This woman is still trying to double down saying that you made her feel uncomfortable and telling you that you lied. This whole Housewives After Dark segment was boring. I didn't really care. They were talking about how the ladies got wild on their trips. And then Andy was asking, well, how did you guys like watching your wives bumping and grinding all over each other? And then Gordon talking about, oh, it was nice. I like that. I said, I'm sure you did, Mr. Brown. I'm sure you did. Andy brings up Robyn's bachelorette party, how Robyn got all drunk. And then he wants to know, what did Juan think about you being drunk? And she's like, oh yeah, Juan loves it when I'm drunk. I said, okay, really? He doesn't love it that much because he's in other women's DMs, flying them out and paying for hotel rooms. So of course we circle back to the whole vagina gate. Andy wants to know who showed their vagina first when they were in Mexico. So Wendy says, let the record show we were in the bathroom, we were all drunk, having a good time. So she says that Candiace showed hers first, then Ashley, then Mia, and then Wendy showed hers. And they all said that Wendy had the prettiest vagina and there was no kissing involved. But I said, Mia and Ashley, y'all are both liars because you guys both said to Gizelle and Robyn that Mia and Wendy were kissing on each other and touching each other. And now it's, oh yeah, you know, there was no kissing. Y'all just lie just for fun, huh? Now, I had forgotten that Ray was even there because Andy questions Ray about how Ray felt hearing the women bring up Karen's alleged infidelities, and Ray says that he was really disappointed in all the ladies this season because those lies are very hurtful. Then he goes on to say that the rumors are all BS and it's not true at all. So now we see Robyn interject and she addresses Karen. She says, Karen, I want to bring up the whole thing that you said in Mexico about Juan hugging you so tight that you felt uncomfortable because it's bordering on sexual misconduct the same way that Dillard-Bassett was accused. So now Karen says, look, I never accused Juan of assault. All I said was that he hugged me so tight that I felt uncomfortable. So Ray jumps in and says, Robyn, Karen did tell me what happened. She told me that Juan hugged her so tight and she felt a way about it. So Karen says, did Juan assault me? No. But does he need to stop touching women inappropriately? Yes, he does. So now the husbands leave and we close out the reunion with production bringing out a speaker and they're playing Candiace's new song, Insecure, and they're all dancing. And I noticed that Ashley and Gizelle's faces were really tight that Candiace's song was playing. I said, because y'all could never. But let me tell you something right now. This was Candiace's reunion. She was the MVP. She was vindicated.
Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you.
Because fans truly see now that Candiace was never the problem. And I'm glad that so many of y'all are waking up and seeing who the true villains really are. I'm not even going to touch on the one-on-one special between Andy and Robyn because it was the same thing that we saw a month ago. That was like a waste of time. They could have kept that. But guys, when I tell you all that I have never been so happy for a season to be over. The only franchise right now that is really giving what the other girls should have gave is Real Housewives of Miami. Real wealth, real storylines, a real friend group. Those girls had a fantastic season. And I'm going to need everybody, especially Potomac, to take notes. But y'all, we stuck it out till the very end. I don't know how we did it, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I hope I was able to make this crazy season a bit more bearable, but my nerves are so shot, and that should not happen from a reality TV show. But guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
Nah, I forgot. TF, ... I'm out this bitch.